Halloween, and greetings from my den. I'm everyone's. Wait, Halloween's over. I'm dressed up like an Earth Federation officer. So it's not even the show I'm reviewing. Whatever. I'm something cyber new type Jared something. Costume gimmick aside, let's get on with the review. Our episode opens up with some action. We see a duel between Elan and 3 other students. He is making pretty easy work out of the 3 of them. Essentially, everyone is watching it. We're not really sure what the big deal is between Elan and these other students, but the fact that he took on a duel against 3 people gets to show just how good Elan really is in battle. In addition to that, this is a very Elan-focused episode. We learn that he is some sort of enhanced human. I believe he's probably supposed to be the cyber new type equivalent of this universe, though you could argue that he's more like a super soldier from Gundam 00. I'm leaning towards cyber new type. Anyhow, he gets told that they need more information about the Ariel, and they need to know more about Suletta. Is she another product of a thing that led to Elan, or is she something else entirely? Meanwhile, we get some fun time with the Earth dorm, watching the technical crew repair and detail the Ariel, which is great, seeing their commentary about how advanced and amazing the mobile suit is, which, you know, it is. And you see Suletta with one of the other students doing a weird little fortune-telling game, which I thought was really cute. And puts Suletta on a whole point of, who is this other boy on my chart, and what does that mean? So, that was kind of cute, a little fun school girl thing to do. She also gets a phone call from Elan, totally freaks out, as he asks her out on a date. Because this is still CW timeline. Anyhow, as the story progresses, we get to see Elan and Suletta on their little date-ish thing, walking around in the Ariel, talking to each other about, you know, the kind of lives they've lived, and Suletta even asking a simple question like, what's your birthday? So she can find out if that's the guy on the chart. And he, in turn, asks to borrow the Ariel, which Suletta interprets as, oh no, I went on a touchy subject, and he just wanted to be away from me. When in reality, Elan is testing the Ariel to see if it is truly a Gundam unit. Is it using the Gund format? And his abilities don't seem to sync up with the Ariel, meaning the Ariel is designed a little bit differently than the standard Gundam type equipment. And this leads him to realize that he and Suletta are different. While he has been manufactured and modified to be some sort of special soldier, she is naturally that. And it's not entirely certain if Elan is actually annoyed by this, if, you know, this whole time has been very much a focus on his mission, less so than his relationship with Suletta. So it's hard to say where we're really seeing Elan's energy come from, but he does know this means he will need to challenge her to battle to see whose skills are better. Of course, before he and Suletta can really have much of a conversation, Yule shows up and does the whole, hey you, get your damn hands off her. And Elan's like, oh good, you're here, let's have a duel. And Yule's like, yeah, dude, sure, bruh. And the rest of our episode starts to focus on their duel. Interestingly enough, Suletta's really a minor character in this episode, as we're really seeing more about what's going on behind the scenes with Elan and his family? I'm not entirely certain. Elan makes it sound as if he doesn't actually have a family, which does feel a bit closer to your standard, you know, enhanced humans that either have lost their memories or were just produced from the get-go to be enhanced humans. And while Miorine isn't really happy about Suletta being involved with Elan, it's kind of as far as it goes. Miorine has like probably 4 lines of dialogue this entire episode. She's really kind of losing her status as a main character, but I'm kind of fine with that. If Miorine isn't going to add more to the pot than just yelling, I'm fine with her being a minor character. And of course, this episode had tons of action, which is nice. Get 2 major duels, get to see Elan battle using 2 different mobile suits. Overall, pretty cool stuff. As for the characters, only 2 characters I really want to talk about this week. The first is Yule Jaturk. I know he's minor in this episode, but I had a weird revelation about the character. He's the Jared Mesa of this series. He's an incredibly talented mobile suit pilot who gets jobbed over and over and over. And he has that pride and that belief in his convictions and just can't. It's just constantly outmatched. I don't know why, but that does make me like the character just a little bit more. And it seems to emphasize my belief that he likes Suletta more out of that idea of having a badass pilot girlfriend rather than as some sort of more, physical attraction. It's her skills and abilities that mean more to him than anything else. But we'll see where that goes. More importantly, I am predicting now that Gyul is going to get access to an anti-Gundam suit, like the Bigeru. I hate the names of the mobile suits this season. I really do. But I believe he's going to get whatever the successor to that is eventually, because his interactions with the Gundam-type units are really setting up that whole, I need to take one of these down. And I'm looking forward to him having it and kicking some ass. However, the character that got the most focus this episode was Elan. We now have confirmation he is some form of enhanced human. For the time being, I'm considering him the Cyber New type of this timeline because of how his second mobile suit he uses in this episode functions. And if he's using bits or funnels or anything along those lines, that is very much a new type weapon. So that's how I'm kind of viewing that. We also discover that he doesn't really have a family per se. He even admits he doesn't have a birthday. He clearly is treated more like a tool or a weapon than his actual person. I believe he's even referred to as like subject number 4. Nice little nod there to 4 Murasame. Overall, I liked this exploration into his character to kind of learn a bit more about how Elan functions and his role in his company, which is more or less super soldier spy kind of thing. And I like that. I think that has a lot of room to grow. And if he turns into a major antagonist later on, I think he's going to be a pretty kick-ass antagonist because he's cool, calm, and controlled. And I like that more so than just your standard, rah, dude. I mean, yeah, I had my compliments there for Gyul, but let's face facts. The guy who yells and charges into battle is not a great antagonist. That could be a fun ally, that could be a great side character, not a great antagonist. Antagonists should be conniving, they should be manipulative, they should be skilled as a pilot and have the same abilities as the main character and possibly better. So it's something for the hero to overcome. But we'll see what happens with Elan in future episodes. On the aesthetic side of things, we have 2 new mobile suits to discuss. Both units are utilized by Elan. The first is the Zawart. The Zawart has a really weird design to it. I'm not actually all that fond of it, to be honest. Again, we have strange looking legs. This seems to be a running thing of a lot of the mobile suits in the series. I don't know why the legs are way overdone and really slim. It keeps feeling like a lot of these units, if you just shot their leg, you would easily win because they just topple over. But whatever. Its upper half is more chunky, room enough for the pilot and things like that, I'm sure. It seems to have an advanced backpack that gives it a lot of mobility. And beyond that is kind of like basically a speed-based, lanky-ish looking mobile suit that feels like it should be in another series. I don't hate the design outright. In fact, my only worry would be if I got this as a model kit, that like a slight wind would just make it topple. Also, according to information I found, there's a heavy variant as well that has a little more armor and some extra stuff. So that's kind of cool. We'll see when those show up. Odds are this would be functioning as something of a grunt unit from Pell Industries. So we'll see what happens when a real war breaks out. And then we have the Faract. And the Faract reminds me of something out of either Gundam 00 or Iron-Blooded Orphans. Again, we have that weird lanky design, but we have this overly done backpack and the shoulders and things like that. And I kind of like it. I mean, I really do. It's a fast, powerful suit. It has funnel-type weapons or bits or whatever they decide to call them. And as I think about it, the fact that, like, there's a design aesthetic for each of the companies we've seen thus far, because Jaturk Industries has, like, those bigger, chunkier designs. We get the Pell versions here, which are much slimmer, and they seem to be a bit smaller in terms of design, using more of a compact, faster unit to overwhelm opponents, rather than a stockier, heavier unit. I think this is kind of a cool idea in and of itself, where every company makes units that are distinctively different. As a minor side note, we do get to see a bone stock Delonza, because that's what Gyul uses in his duel, and it made me question the differences between Gyul's unit and like the standard units. I don't know yet what the major differences are. I don't know if there's any technical information out on those, because it seems to performance-wise be about the same. So maybe it's just weapon loadout, paint job, and some minor personal tweaks. Who knows? Either way, the new mobile suits look pretty cool. They definitely show off the mobility and firepower of these 2 units during the 2 duels. And honestly, it is pretty cool, and it's great to see Elan go out there and kick some ass. I'm kind of liking those suits, even though I'm afraid the model kits are just going to topple off the desk. So we get a power base for both of them. Jeez. Overall, I generally liked this episode, not only because it focused on a character I was already interested in, but also the fact that the action was really good. I do like some of the minor scenes of Suletta and the Earthstorm. I actually would like to see more of that, because the Earthstorm characters are really interesting. But again, we get another episode where Suletta is not really the main focus, and this one even less so. She has less screen time in this episode than she had in the previous one. I think that's going to change for the next episode based on the title and where we're left off in this episode. But hopefully we're moving towards Suletta becoming a more actualized individual rather than just kind of a crybaby cinnamon roll who I just can't take seriously as a main character. Complaints about Suletta aside, and I know everyone hates me for hating Suletta and liking Yule, I get it. I will say that the story is building up here. Now that we know that Elan is something confirmed to be something different, that we know that Suletta's father died when she was young, again, helping to solidify the Eri is Suletta theory. Eri's mother interact with some other people, that there's definitely some behind the scenes machinations going on. All this gets me excited for the next episode. And considering the duel we're going to be seeing next episode, I am very much excited to see what is actually going to happen. Enough of that silliness. Let's get to the spoilers. So totally Elan and Suletta are gonna have to beat the crap out of each other next episode, and I'm so hyped! I want to see Gundam on Gundam action, the Ferract versus the Ariel. That's gonna be good. I hope they don't delay this one out. I hope that's the main focus of next episode. So I'm getting very hyped up for seeing this kind of battle and seeing how a witch and a cyber witch, which is what I'll just call the cyber new type equivalent of this world, how they interact with each other on the battlefield. Are they going to have that weird mental connection thing as usually happens? What's going to go on with this? I think this is going to lead to a lot of exciting things in the show. Excitement for next week aside, this week doesn't have a lot I can really spoil. I mean, seeing Yule get jobbed again is well, yeah, that seems to be his role in the show. How he got jobbed this week is rather interesting though, because Elan essentially sets up a trap for him and screws him over. It's Yule's own aggression that's going against him, and it's Elan setting up a trap that really makes this work. In addition to that, it is interesting to see the little bits of information there about Suletta, her mother, her dad, that really, help build that Aries Suletta theory. I do appreciate that information, and I kind of like the fact that they're leaving it a bit vague right now. I know that we're eventually going to get a big reveal, and a whole lot of crap's going to come from that, but for now, I like the fact that it's kept vague. I do like the little hints we've gotten about Elan, as I said before. The weird cyber new typiness of him is interesting, especially when he makes comments about piloting the suit. He's like, oh, did you have to suffer and struggle in order to pilot? And she's like, no, it's just been kind of part of my family. It's like part of me. And then when he goes in there and tries to use his powers inside the suit, and he realizes, oh, wow, it is part of her. We're different. I'm some sort of lab experiment, and she's some sort of naturally powered, gifted person. And you can almost see him being almost a little bit angry about that. That what he wanted was another experimental subject. He could be like, oh, so you know what I've been through. You know what the kind of stuff here and how frustrating it is dealing with other people and this and that. And instead he's like, oh, you're just gifted. Everything was just given to you. Well, that's just fine. Now I need to get in the Ferract and blow you up because I just can't. All I want is someone else who's been through the same crap as me, and as soon as I think I found someone like that, nope. And I kind of like that. I think that's a good villain motivation of that whole I wanted to connect with someone, and instead I just found out someone just had an easier life than me, and screw you. Now, Elan isn't hyper direct or aggressive with how he's doing this, but you can kind of tell when he returns the Ariel, he's just like, yeah, I'm done with you. I'm leaving now. It would have been interesting to see where that conversation would have gone if Yule hadn't interrupted, because odds are Suletta probably would have tried to discuss with him, why are you upset about this? What about the Ariel is bothering you? What about me is bothering you? Because she does have those moments of showing that high emotional intelligence like she did with Yule, and I think she would have done that with Elan, except for they got interrupted. And now Suletta's in a weird, why does Elan want to fight me? What did I do wrong in our date? Kind of mentality, rather than trying to emotionally reconnect with someone. I also find it interesting that apparently Yule has been restricted from dueling by his dad, and the fact that his Delanza is not there. Obviously, the De La Brarde has been taken away, and he takes his brother's Delanza and his brother's just yelling and trying to get the match stopped and all that kind of stuff. I found that very amusing, and I like the fact that clearly Yule is rebelling against his family in his own way, and I'm curious to see where this goes, because I really want to know more about his brother, and I definitely want to know more about the machinations of the Jaturk family, considering the fact that in the first episode, they were planning the assassination of Mirene's father. So there is something bigger there, and Yule has given them a black eye, sure, but if you're any kind of proper business person, you have plans beyond plans. You shouldn't be just thinking, this is our next step. The next step isn't going to work. Oh, then I'm out of ideas. Like, there's clearly some more stuff going on there. And as we're learning about all the different families, it'll be nice to get back to the Jaturk family. I am curious if, when we finally get our Earth-space war, if Yule's actually going to side with Earth alongside Suletta to either A, be with her, or B, just to tell his father to, screw you, I'm my own man, I will fight with honor and dignity for what I believe in, and not do what I'm told when it goes against my personal beliefs. There are some curious ways that the battle lines can be drawn in the future, and I think the show will be a significantly more interesting show once those battle lines really start to get drawn. But I understand now what they're trying to do with getting to know the characters, getting to know the families, and all that kind of stuff before we get those battle lines drawn. I had surprisingly a lot to talk about on this episode when really all that happens is duel, failed date, duel. But I'm surprised what you can get out of there from just a handful of background scenes of characters talking to each other while the main action is kind of simmering on the stove. Like I said, at the ending of the non-spoiler section, I really did kind of enjoy this episode, and this series is growing on me. I realize part of it is my impatience, and you know what? I'm going to try to be more open-minded with each episode, but considering, like last episode, I had very little to complain about here. Very few things here are like, oh, I hate this or that, Yeah, the mech designs are kind of so-so, a little weird and don't feel like they fit in the show, but I like the fact that they're tied into the Pell Company, and we know that there's a design aesthetic for the Pell Company. Just like there's a design aesthetic for the Jaturk Company, and I'm sure as we see the other companies, we're going to see their design aesthetics as well. I do like that. That's a lot of really deep world building that most Gundam series don't have, because usually you have Company A builds for one side, Company B builds for the other side. All right, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you in the den to talk about more Gundam Witch from Mercury.